Welcome. I'm Kunal Rai once more with you, and today I'm not going to discuss about the impact of English language and soft skills on us. Rather, I'm going to focus on English literature, and that too in the domain of Shakespeare. Now, we all know that Shakespeare was an Elizabethan playwright, but it is often said that most of the plays are of double-handed or the work of many hands. That is to say that he had not written any other play except Henry V and Richard II. So today I'm going to discuss on one of the famous plays, that is Merchant of Venice, Act 1, Scene 1. Now, this Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare is really an interesting play, and on the top of all, it is included in the syllabus of ICSE. And we know the pattern of ICSE examination, that is English language is considered the paper 1 and English literature is the paper 2. Now, Act 1, Scene 1, we find that there are three major characters. One is Antonio, who is regarded as the Merchant of Venice, and his two friends, Salerio and Solanio. Now, Antonio was a little bit sad. Now, what was the reason of his sadness? Because he had sent his ships to the various corners of the world which are loaded with cargoes and which are tossing on the ocean. So he was a bit anxious about the fact that if his ships got drowned into the sea itself, then he would suffer a huge loss. On the other hand, we find that his two friends, Salerio and Solanio, thought that Antonio might be in love, and that's why he was sad, or there was a kind of expression of sadness or anguish on his face. Now, on the other hand, if we just look on the other hand of the play, then we can find that he has his best friend Bassanio. Now, Bassanio was the best friend of Antonio, but at the same time he was prodigal too. He used to spend money without thinking about the future, and he had the habit of borrowing money. Now, when Bassanio went to Antonio, he actually asked Antonio for some money, but Antonio could not give him the money at that very instant, as there was a huge investment in his own business. The reason was obvious. Bassanio was in love with Portia, the beautiful maiden, and she was very rich too, but he had no money to participate in the selection process which was going to be conducted by Portia to win her in the long run itself. Now, so what was the solution? Antonio asked, or rather advised, Bassanio to go to Shylock and borrow some money from him. But the thing is that the entire bond would be in the favor of Antonio, and it was being written in the bond that if Antonio failed to pay the money or with interest to Shylock within 3 months, from the date of payment, then he would have the right, and Shylock would have the right to cut a pound of flesh from his body. So this was a kind of conspiracy which would gather momentum in the long run as we go on through the play. So this is actually the summation of Act 1, Scene 1. We have got three major characters, Antonio, Salerio, Solanio, and one more major character is Bassanio, because Portia was not introduced in Act 1, Scene 1. Now, what is the significance of this Act 1, Scene 1? Firstly, we get introduced to the Merchant of Venice, that is the protagonist of the play, that is Antonio. Second, we get introduced to Bassanio, the best friend of Antonio, and his intention of borrowing money from Antonio on credit. And third, we got an intimation that Bassanio was prodigal, still he was in love with Portia, the rich heiress. So this much today, and I'm going to extend with the other contents of the plays in my future lectures. Until next meet, keep the faith. Thank you.